In this video, we're going to solve four basic, I guess we could call these exponential equations, even because the fourth one actually simplifies. Call them equations, call them exponential equations. And we're going to use this property of exponentials. If you have the equation a to the x equal a to the y, got the same base. The only way these two can be equal is if the exponents are equal. So x has to equal to y. And this is where the base has to be positive and the base cannot be 1. So for example, just to clarify this, 1 to the 20, 1 to the 20th power does equal to 1 to the 30th power. Because 1 to the 20th is 1 and 1 to the 30th is 1. But 20 does not equal to 30. So we have to satisfy these conditions. We want real numbers, that's why we want a to be positive, and the base cannot be 1. So if we look at the first one then, the same base, so the exponents have to be equal. 5x has to equal to 20, divide through by 5, both sides by 5. We get, this cancels out, 20 divided by 5 is 4. So the value of x for the first one is 4. Second one, pretty much the same sort of thing. We have e, the exponent is 1 minus x, and on the other side we have e, the exponent is x. The only way those two can be equal is if the exponents are equal. So 1 minus x has to equal to x. So adding x to both sides here, 1 equal 2. This cancels out, x and x is 2x. Divide both sides by 2. These divide out. So I get x has to be 1/2. And you can easily check these by plugging back into the exponential. Put a 1/2 there, give me e to the 1/2. Put a 1/2 here, get e to the 1/2. So it checks. The answer is x equal to 1/2. Third one again, same base. This gets e. And this could be, instead of e as the base, it could be 2, base 2. The answer would still be the same. Because either way, we're going to say if the base is the same, x squared minus 2x, that is the exponent on the left side has to be equal to the exponent on the right side. So this would be 8. X squared minus 2x is equal to 8. So this generates a quadratic equation at minus 8 to both sides. So that brings the 8 over. On the right side we get 0. Once we have one side 0, we got a quadratic. We can try factoring. That doesn't work. We can use the quadratic formula for the method of completing the square. But in this case, this will factor. X minus 4 here, x plus 2 equal to 0. Product of factors equals 0 means one factor or the other, or both have to be 0. So we just set each factor equal to 0. X minus 4 can be 0. Or x plus 2 can be 0. Adding 4 to both sides here, we get x equal to 4. Adding a negative 2 to both sides here, we get x equal to negative 2. So the solution to this one is x can be 4 or x can be negative 2. And again, you can easily check your answer by plugging back into the original equation. Now in the next one, we have e to the x times x squared minus e to the x equal to 0. So a couple of ways to do this. Let's say we have e to the x, factor an e to the x. So factor e to the x from the left side will leave me e to the x times x squared minus 1. That's equal to 0. The product of two factors is 0 when one or the other or both are equal to 0. So we set each factor equal to 0 and get this. E to the x equal to 0, x squared minus 1 is equal to 0. But this one here, e to the x can never be 0. It's like take any base. You take it to any power, negative power, positive power, or 0. You can get 1 if the x is 0, but you never get 0. So this one has no solution. We have to disregard this one, throw this one away. And then this one factors into x minus 1. X plus 1. Set each factor equal to 0 here. The first factor will generate a 1. And the second factor will generate a negative 1. So this tells me then that x can be 1 or negative 1. Now we could have done this because e to the x can never be 0. We can just divide by e to the x. Divide everything by e to the x here. And this divides out. This divides out. This still gives me 0 here. So this equation simplifies to this one right here. And of course, you get 1 and negative 1. Now you always have to be careful when you divide both sides by a variable. Now you can do no problem if you divide by a constant, just a plain number. Obviously you can't divide by 0. But we know that e to the x cannot be 0. So in that case, there's no problem. Now if you got something like this, so you don't want to do this. So you have x times x minus 1. This is what you don't want to do. You got x times x minus 1 equals 0. You don't want to do this and say, okay, I'm going to divide both sides by x because I know that 0 divided by a non-zero number is 0. And that leaves me with x minus 1 equal to 0. It tells me that x equal to 1. Now that is an answer. X equal to 1 is an answer. But when you divide through by x like this, you're throwing away another answer because this one has two solutions, x equal to 0 and 1. So never divide through by a variable because you don't know if that variable could be 0. Now if you're sure it's not 0, then you can do it. But in this case, notice 0 works for this solution. So the actual solution here is 0 and 1. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.